Hello, Adab, Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, and a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for so much for joining us on Nurture Life Talk Show. मैं हूं आरजे आमिर आपके साथ और आज हमारी मेहमान हैं कविता श्रीनिवासन जो कि एक सीरियल एंटरप्रेन्योर हैं, कॉर्पोरेट प्रोफेशनल हैं, सिंगल मॉम हैं, मोटिवेशनल स्पीकर हैं, अब और भी बहुत कुछ हैं और यही जानने के लिए कि वो क्या कुछ हैं and how she has achieved the heights which she has achieved, and she started very young. I think a lot of us are going to be quite motivated listening to her. A lot of us will feel the inspiration to take that first step to do things, because I know that is the weirdest and the oddest and the most frightful thing to do. सबसे ज्यादा डर उसी में लगता है. So I hope कि अगले जो भी टाइम हम कविता के साथ स्पेंड करने वाले हैं, शी इज गोइंग टू शेयर सो मच अबाउट हर लाइफ, अबाउट हर जर्नी, that and she's also a writer. Oh, I forgot that. So she's also a writer. So she's so many things. So it's like a huge bag with a lot of offerings. So let's start talking to her and discover gradually as to what all she is into and how she has done what she has done, because that is something which I'm always interested in. Welcome, Kavitha. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so very much, Adab, Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal. कैसे हैं आप? Thank you so very much for having me on the show, and I'm very, very humbled and grateful to NurtureLife and you for having me here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kavitha. And you're currently in UAE, right?
Yes, Dubai. I'm in Dubai right now. Yes.
Right now, you're in Dubai. So, okay, मेरा सबसे पहला सवाल हमेशा होता है आपके बैकग्राउंड से रिलेटेड, because I really want to know that how did you end up where you have ended up? I mean, it's not like ended up, but how have you achieved and reached where you are at right now? So from the very beginning, how about your childhood, growing years, and it's very important to understand.
Very much. Ek tawil dasta hai, I would say. So there is a very nice saying, very nice movie that was actually shot. If any one of you is Tamil, Aval oru thodarkadai. That means she is a serial.
Okay.
I think I relate to that a whole lot. I think one of the most important things that I would definitely love to start off with is that for me as a child, one of the best things that could have happened is having a mother who was extremely wise, not just educated. So she was a PhD in Hindi, and then she was also Hindi and Tamil literature, and then she went on to do her bachelor's in English literature in those days when education was taboo for women to such a great extent. And I remember her story that she was refused by many suitors because she had a PhD in Hindi coming from a Tamil background. So just imagine. So in those days where Hindi was like, oh my God, how can you learn Hindi when you're South Indian? So I think that sort of helped. But having said that, I was a rebel as a kid. So even as a small child, I had a larger purpose. I was always looking for the larger purpose. I had questions about life. I had questions about why this division, why these borders, why people are different, why are you separating? So everything was answered. And even as a small child, my dream was to be able to impact people, to be able to do charity, to be able to do things that were much larger than life. And I was very much a child that had my own mind, ridiculously own mind, where if my mother picked a frock, I knew I was going to wear it, but I would change it because she said I should wear it. So I think having my own mind was one of the things. But as I grew, I think life also took a great turn for me. One of the things was I come from a dysfunctional family. My father, in spite of having my mother, married for the second time, so I had a stepmother, which was, again, it was a very difficult situation at home, which was not a common thing. And then when I was around 15, my mother ended up with cancer, and she had hardly a few months to live, they said. But thank God, alhamdulillah, we operated on her. She lived, but that meant somebody had to take care of her. And I discontinued my education. I was in the 10th grade. I
Oh,
discontinued at preparatory exam. It was preparatory exam. I discontinued to take care of her. And I wrote the supplementary 10th. So for me, it was more important to be with her rather than my education. So I stayed at home, I took care of her, and that was a revelation because she actually helped me be who I am today. Those days with her taught me a lot. And she was cured at that point of time, chemotherapy, radiation, the entire thing happened. And she got metastasis again 2.5 years later, 2 years later. So I was just about going to be 17. She was diagnosed, and we had nowhere to go, nothing to do. My dad, with my stepmother, was already abroad in the US. So we were brought to the US to see if she can survive, and she didn't make it. She died. So when she did, or before she died, she went into a coma for about almost 14 to 18, 14 to 17 days. And before she went into a coma, she made me promise that I would take care of her children, which is my siblings. And I had no choice but to promise her. And I was hardly all of just about 17. I promised her that I would, and I did. I'm proud of that, because my father wouldn't support my education. He refused. So, yeah, I educated myself by babysitting at a dentist's home for her daughter, who paid my initial fees, got a job, funded myself, then educated my sister, uh, then had business set up for my brother, which was my first business, by the way. But I invested in it and then came back to India. Yeah, it's a journey. So I think throughout my childhood to my formative years, if I am who I am, it is because resilience was within me. My mother struggled just as much. She lost her mother at 16 too, and she raised all her siblings and yet was able to do her PhDs and achieve so much in life. So I think the perspective that she gave me as a human being, I wouldn't say woman or man, I would say as a human being was more important. For me, it never mattered that I was a girl. It never mattered that, this was a boy, boys do this, girls do this. My point was, we are human beings. Can we just do what we have to serve our purpose? And I always believe that there is something larger than what I am looking at. So I had a lot of questions, and my mother was one of the best mentors I could have ever had, because I had questions and she answered it. She never was a typical mother shooting me down, saying, nahi, ye nahi पूछते. हमेशा ये होता है ना कि हम लोगों ने कभी अपने माँ बाप से नहीं पूछा है, जो हम कह रहे हैं वही करो, वो कभी नहीं हुआ. और मेरे ख्याल से I would definitely, if I am who I am, it started with her. And then I met people who inspired me. Every human I have met, even as a small 3 or 4 year old, has inspired me. Now that's a very huge thing to say, because I think मुझे लगता है कि the way I would say it, I always tell my friends, मुझे लगता है कि I'm a defective piece. I think I was a defective piece that was meant to do something in life, and I think that's how the entire journey, has come to. So it's always been an inspiration. Every life that I met, I saw a power within them, and I always believe that each one of us has a God within, not elsewhere. So I think there's a lot of thought process, even as a child. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So that is in a nutshell.
so, so, so that was quite a start, actually. So you
Yeah.
had to go through all. Okay. So that just shows, that just shows that no matter how bad things are, if you just stay put and if you continue moving,
Yeah.
you do reach somewhere.
Yes.
It's a lot about determination. बहुत
क्वाइट
कुछ
अ
इस पर
लॉट,
डिपेंड
क्वाइट
करता
अ
है.
लॉट ना, क्योंकि लोगों को जनरली जो है ना, हम लोग जिंदगी में हमेशा ये सोचते हैं कि ये हो गया, ये हो गया, ये हो गया, ये हो गया. मैं कहती हूँ कि ये हो गया, मगर फिर क्या, उसके बाद क्या? जो हो गया सो हो गया, मगर उसके बारे में दो चीजें कर सकते हो. या तो रोते रह सकते हो और उसके बारे में आह भरते रह सकते हो, या उठकर डट के खड़े हो जाओ और लड़ पड़ो. जब मालिक ने कहा है
Absolutely.
कि रिस्क का तो उन्होंने कहा है, तो हिल रिस्क तो बहाने मौत. So that is basically how I have taken it. And I think also I was in the 6th grade when I was at a school, and all of us were asked to relate ourselves to an animal. or
Mm-hmm.
anything that we identified with. And when my turn came, I said spring. सभी ने कहा शेर है तो ये है तो वो है तो चूहा है बिल्ली है, and I said spring. And so I remember my teacher asking, spring, why spring? And I said, because the more you push me, the higher I jump. And this was when I was in sixth grade. So I think
So
the
that
thought
was
process
already
was much
ingrained in
deeper.
you.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
So you ended up actually answering my two questions in, in the very first instance. So okay, so how did you start? When you started for your brother, what was your first business?
My first business actually was it was a franchise of Aptic. Aptic, if you remember, Aptic Computer Education was very huge in 1995.
One point of
So we
yes,
started
yes,
in
yes.
1995, and we had one of our franchises, and I invested in that, and I was all of about 26 years old.
So you started
So
with Aptech, and
yeah, and then
that was
in India.
that was in
It was in
India,
India, in
right?
Bangalore. Yeah. So I was in the US
Mhm.
at that point in time. So I invested in that. And then I came back in the year 1996. So
Mhm.
during the time that we were running Aptech, one of the things that did happen was when our students graduated and they were trying to apply for jobs. If you remember, the IT revolution was very, very nascent. But then
Yes.
all the known companies, corporates were asking for 3 years of experience. And I found it very
Hmm.
asinine because it's ridiculous
I mean,
that
it had just
IT, it's,
started.
yeah, and how can you
Yes.
ask for a 3 year experience from students who are graduating? So I decided at that point of time to make that change. You know, I always believe that we can either complain about the problem or find a solution. So I found the solution. So I said, you know what, let's establish a company. So I started an IT company called Samanvai, picked up two
Mhm.
projects that ran for 3 years, gave them the 3 year experience, and they all got jobs. Today, some of them are, strategy head at Dell. Somebody's heading Oracle. I mean, it's ages. I'm in touch with some of them, and it's such a pride and a pleasure. So I literally ran that only for 3 years to give that entire two cohorts the experience.
Kya baat hai. And what did you do after 3 years? Sell it off.
And after, yeah, I didn't sell it off. I actually transitioned it because the entire group was all we had, right? So it was not going. I'm not an IT person. I was from the healthcare background. I was a lab technologist, so that was not my cup of tea.
Mhm.
So I couldn't have run it and things like
Okay,
that.
so
So
yes, you're a healthcare professional.
yes, I'm a lab technologist with a medical with a hematology and clinical chemistry background from the US. Yeah.
Okay, so this was very on a very
So
different tangent altogether.
it's a different tangent altogether. But then I've always been forward thinking. I think that helped. And then the third business simultaneously when I was running Aptech was an opportunity that we got called Plus for Schools, which means we had tied up with this fourth R curriculum, which was from the US. And for the first time
Mhm.
in India, online learning was starting. So it was the fourth R
Okay.
curriculum, which was e-learning rather, not exactly online learning. It was e-learning for the first time.
Mhm.
And I was gung ho because it was something new, and I had 105 schools signed up for that. So that was my third venture. And by the time 2000 happened, of course, Y2K happened, and the business started diving down, and it was dwindling. So business decisions are very, very hard, and transitioning is even more harder. And we took the decision by around 2002, 2003 to transition all of them out because IT was not doing well, and I didn't want a white elephant. So we
Mhm.
transitioned, and all of us went back to whatever we wanted to do. The partners who were in it. So I went back to healthcare, the healthcare related field, which was medical transcription. Idea
Mhm.
was 5 years. I get to know the whole ropes of the game, and then I start my own business. And I did.
Okay.
2009, I started my business again. 45-seater company, medical transcription. And I had an amazing stint for about 3 years. And then divorce happened, and I wouldn't get custody of the children if I was not working, if I did not have stability as per the governmental norms, because the father is the legal custodian for the children, and if a mother wants it, she has to prove her stability financially. So I had to transition the business out, and I got a job as a senior vice president and I went into e-learning. So yeah, and then about a couple of years, and I moved to Pune, and my fifth business
Hmm.
happened. So my fifth business was into revenue cycle management. That lasted for about a year, uh, and I was diagnosed with cancer. So I had to move to get treated. So yeah, it's been a journey, and now I am in the sixth business. So
And the sixth business is
is
your
general
cancer is okay
trading.
right now, right?
Yeah. I'm in remission. It's six years now. Absolutely, touch wood.
Okay.
I'm perfectly fine.
Alhamdulillah.
But then, yeah, Alhamdulillah. I was told I have 9 months, and I remember telling the doctor I would see him in hell. So that's not a
That's a
nice
long
thing to
journey.
say, but that's not a nice thing to say. But I always believe that willpower is something that makes you live, and I live because I believe that my purpose is larger than me or my life, and it is very important. And I will stay on this earth until I have completed it. I come with my script, and I'm sure of it.
Great.
Yeah.
See, that is the kind of confidence which really works. I mean, when you know that you're not going down without a fight, that really
Oh yes.
works in
Oh
your
yes.
favor always.
Definitely. 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 Yes.
So anyway, you were going to tell me about your sixth business, what it is all about.
Right now, actually, we started off as a general trading company. The vision, by the way, is
Hmm.
very different. We started off because one of my experiences while I was an entrepreneur in India was I represented the Karnataka, sector of entrepreneurs in the Commonwealth India Business Meet, and I was one of
Hmm.
the speakers and also a panelist. And I realized that most of the entrepreneurs do not get a podium, or rather a platform, to launch their products globally. So
Right.
my dream was to, one, launch products globally with innovation and disruption. If it is a unique product,
Hmm.
I give them the platform to be able to go out into the world, because I've got the wherewithal and I also have the ability to be able to do it for them while they are in India, any of the South Asian countries. It doesn't necessarily have to be India. So it was India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, are countries which have brilliant minds but are not able to get a platform. So I wanted to do that. And along with that, came up with a disruptive solution in the food industry, which is an IoT based pani vending machine for the pani puri. And my dream was, there is KFC, there is Pizza Hut, there is McDonald's. All of us have been very kind to make all these brands so successful in our countries.
Huge. Yeah.
Yes. So my dream is, can we have one food from our continent becoming a global food? Golgappa. So I would like
That's a nice choice, actually.
everybody abroad, every Westerner to say Golgappa. Now that, I mean, recently the Japanese Prime Minister seemed to be going gung ho over pani puri. I think Golgappa should be a global street food. Why not?
It should
Why
be.
not? So that was
Yeah.
one of the things. Yeah. So we actually have other products on board too, but yeah, the main intention was to start off a business, but very importantly, the purpose behind all this was even larger than all these things too. One was creating a platform, but very importantly, एक चीज जो है मैं हमेशा कहती हूँ कि पैसे वालों के पास दिल नहीं होता और दिल वालों के पास पैसे नहीं होते. तो मैं दिल वाली हूँ, सोचा कि पैसे कमाऊं ताकि पैसे लुटाऊं एक दुनिया के लिए. I wanted to be able to
क्या
create
बात है.
employment, give education, house the homeless, be able to do something and leave behind. So whatever we do, and Alhamdulillah, I have an amazing partner who's with me. I have two partners. All of us are very, very driven towards social cause and social responsibility. So all of us have taken it very, very seriously, that irrespective of what happens, we will fight how many ever hurdles that are there, but we will earn to be able to give back to the society. तो आज अगर हम खड़े
Wonderful.
हैं यहाँ, तो अपने लिए नहीं, दुनिया के लिए है.
That's such a great idea, actually. That's such a lovely idea.
Thank
Anytime.
you.
But that's so much about your क्या कहते हैं, entrepreneurship, your journey as a businesswoman, and all those things. But at the same time, I mean, listening to you makes it aptly clear. मुझे लग रहा है कि जो भी सुन रहा है उसको ये मालूम चल रहा होगा बिल्कुल साफ साफ कि you're so much into literature. I already told them that you're a writer too. And your recent book, Midnight Musings, has won you the UAE's Mastermind Awards, and it has earned global acclaim. What is the book all about? I mean, you've succeeded
So,
there as well.
yes. So, writing is a passion and it is a cathartic process for me. I write because it's a catharsis. Having said
Hmm.
that, every day in the morning for years and years, I don't know how long, I wake
Hmm.
up early in the morning between 3 and 4. That's my time
Okay.
with the universe. So when I do that, there are thoughts that come into my head and I write them as quotes or as poetry, always. So that's why Midnight Musings. So I used to send good morning messages to a lot of people, and I remember quite a lot of friends. Sometimes when they did not, hear from me, like when I had COVID, and nobody heard. They were like, "Are you even alive? We have not heard from you in so long." And then the thought process was that this should go into a book. It should not just disappear. ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए कि आप हमें मैसेजेस भेज रहे हो और ये चला जाता है कहीं. वो एक बात है. And then I was writing poetry. So I wanted to make something that was very, very different. I didn't want it to be just a quotes book or a poetry book. So I have godchildren of mine. I have close to 100+ godchildren, by the way. I have 2 children of my own, but I have 100, I think over 100 godchildren that have adopted me, sort of like a godparent, or I have adopted them as godchildren. I have even 40-year-olds as godchildren, which is amazing, I feel. I think I'm a little maternal in my instincts. So they do photography using their phones. And I write when I'm inspired by photography. So some of them were on their photographs. तो मैंने कहा कि अगर ये फोटोग्राफ्स खींच रहे हैं तो कहीं ना कहीं तो कुछ होना चाहिए एक एक वो एक यादगार चीज होना चाहिए. There should be a memoir about it. So I combined photography, quotations, and
Hmm.
poetry. So every quote of mine will have one photograph in the book, and then there is a poetry that corresponds to that. They almost match
Wow.
in the thought process. So that itself was a very different, I think, idea for the first time I heard. Even the publisher said that nobody has done that, something like this. And I think that is what actually even all of a sudden one day I got this message saying that we are nominating your book for an award in the UAE. And I had just heard about 10 days ago that my book was on the Amazon's bestseller for a whole week. I didn't know. I mean, I didn't write for this, seriously. So when they did, and I said, okay, a nomination, that's fine. They said, you will have to fill your details and send it across. And I did. And that was it. I forgot about it. But then about 15 minutes, 15 days before the awards, they pinged and said, you've been chosen for the award. I said, what? So I got to know much later. I thought, okay, theek hai, award hai. I did not think it was a big deal. When I got there is when I got to know how huge it was. It was the UAE Masterminds Awards, and there were 800 plus nominations, and there were 50
Oh,
selected, and I was one of them. And I think that is when it sort of hit me
mashallah.
that God has been very, very kind. I think it's my faith in God, pure faith, 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 and faith. मैं आज सांस ले रही हूँ तो मालिक की वजह से, अगर मैं कुछ भी कर पाती हूँ तो उनकी वजह से, रहमो करम उनकी है तो मैं जिंदा हूँ, और बस मालिकों की नजर है. I have my guru, my spiritual guide. um, I've got my well wishers. It's everything, blessings from all of them, that I think I succeed in whatever I do. And I think my mother somewhere up
Mashallah.
there. Yeah.
And you had written another book before this one. I think, what was the title? Unfinished, A Woman's Tryst with Destiny.
Destiny. Yes.
What was that
Yes.
about? See, I'm into
Unfinished.
books, a lot into books. So I'm sorry.
That's okay. You don't have to be sorry. It's a
So,
beautiful thing. As a
yeah.
matter of fact, I am a huge book lover and I could not sleep without reading every single day. So that's how I've been. And my children are also into reading massively. I taught them to read the day they sat, literally. So Unfinished is actually based. It's written as a fiction, but it is actually my life story. Wrote it as a fiction
Hmm.
because it has sensitivities, and I did not want my family involved in it. So it is a combination of mine and one of my friends who I lost. She committed suicide because she was. I cannot say she was a survivor because she became a victim of rape, and she's no more. And I did not want a story to go away without being heard. I always believe that things happen, but how you deal with it is very important. Is it easy? No, it is not. Everything that happens in your life, if you have to bounce back, there is depression, there is loneliness, there is ostracization, there's everything that happens. But I think if we have undaunted faith in the Almighty up there, and you bring up the strength from within, time and time and time again, you need to tell yourself that you're here to serve a larger purpose if you're alive. I believe that every night we die. If I walk, it's temporary death. Do we all know that we are going to be alive the next day? No, we don't. But if I've woken up the next day, it means that I've been given another opportunity to make a difference in this world, to leave a legacy behind, to be someone. So every day for me is a blessing. I wake up as a blessing. There are people who do not have 2 square meals in a day. There are people who do not have houses. There are people who cannot see, they cannot hear, they don't have hands, they cannot walk, they cannot write, they cannot talk, they cannot see. So aren't we blessed as human beings? And I think that's what Women's Tryst with Destiny was all about. That's exactly what it was. It was my tryst with destiny and how I chose to deal with it. Am I saying that everybody can do it? Maybe not. I don't know. But is it possible? I definitely think so. Most definitely think so. Every one of us.
Obviously, it is possible. A lot of other people have done it too, so it's definitely possible.
There are many. Yes. And many. It is not women, just women alone. And I would be very, very unfair if I say that. It's both women and men. And I have met some amazing people across. So I mean, I've been told that, I am an empowered woman. I think I'm an empowered human. I would not want to be defined as a gender because I get along with both men and women, and I stand for both of them. I stand with what is right. I will not stand with what is wrong just because I'm a woman. No. So if a wrong has happened with a man, I think an empowered woman would stand with what is right, whether it is a man or a woman. She'll walk with the man, not against the man, if the right is on his side.
Yes, definitely. I think we pay a lot of stress to the gender in this sense, but it's more about being a human. It's.
Yes.
I mean, it really doesn't matter. Everybody has their own challenges. So it's more about being a good human, rather than being a good man or a good woman, because those are like, sometimes they kind of restrict you also. I mean, that definition, gender specific definition, sometimes it restricts you.
Yes, it does. And I think that is why we shouldn't associate ourselves as a gender first. We associate ourselves as a human first.
As a human
and
first.
Then the choice of us being a male or a female is because we carry a physical outer shell. But within, does the soul, do you know if your soul was a man or a woman before? We don't know.
Nobody
so
knows.
the soul is the most important thing in this world. So the souls have to connect. As souls, we have to connect. And I think we have to enrich and empower each other.
So are you writing anything right now?
Oh, yes. Most definitely. So my next book is actually called Fallout, the World After the Nuclear War. It is actually in collaboration with this photographer called Sridhara Thumari. He has done absolutely stunning abstract photography over a period of 10 to 12 years, using the Panchabhutas, the 5 elements of nature, to depict the world after the nuclear war. And I am writing portraits for 50 of his photographs.
Very interesting.
So that's one. And apart from that, I've already written, but I have to compile them. My book on Urdu poetry, which is going to be called Tishnagi Ye Zindagi.
Wow.
So yeah, so there are 2 of them in the line. So yeah, keeps me quite busy between business and writing. What can I say?
Yeah, I mean, writing is definitely a healing process. It's definitely gives you that kind of But you need to be, but actually you need to be very disciplined with it too.
Very much.
To write a book,
Very
it's
much.
it's all about discipline.
Yes.
And I know that you're a very disciplined person because listening to you makes it aptly clear that you are quite into that. So that is why you have been able to do this. And
I
this brings me to, yeah, you were saying something.
I think the discipline is because of the fact that one of the things that I have followed very, very religiously is I have been professional in my personal life. It's a
Hmm.
huge thing to say. So when I say that I have been professional in my personal life, it means that I have prioritized relationships which matter to me, very importantly, which matter to me. And then the user experience that we always talk about in the professional life, aren't your children and your family your first user experiences? We don't think about it. So it's very, very important.
Absolutely.
Customer service is all about the minute you become a mother, your first customer is your child, whether you're a better human being or not. So child is going to certify that, good mom, bad mom, mom is not okay, my parents didn't. Do they have a right to do that? Let's not debate on that. But the point happens to be, when you look at your children and you have brought them up to be wonderful human beings, successful human beings, I think that's a testament to the fact that you've succeeded as a human being, right? As parents, one of the
Hmm.
things that we have to remember is, if it is a father, the first thing I always would say is, would you want your daughter to marry somebody like you? If the answer is yes, you're on the right path. If the answer is no, change yourself. It's as simple as that. And with mothers, I would say, do you want your son to have a wife like you or a girlfriend like you? If the answer is yes, I guess you're on the right path. If the answer is no, somewhere within, that is if you know yourself. But to know that, we need to have read our own book. We need to know ourselves better than anybody else. If you don't know yourself, you can't answer those questions either.
You cannot.
That's discipline.
And
Yeah.
a lot of people are actually not that self-aware, and they're pretty confused, and they're pretty let it be, they're pretty
Yes.
narcissistic in that sense. They believe that they are, you know, absolutely on the right path. Okay, not trying to, bring down anyone, demean
Yeah.
anyone. I'm just saying that
No,
most
it
of
is
the time
true. I have met them
we are not
too.
very clear with
Yes.
our ourselves. So okay,
I think
so
we are
this
trying
is
to please someone else,
interesting.
right? We are always trying to fit into that square, fit into a box, fit into something, and we are always somehow waiting for validations for someone else. Your only validation of you being a human being is the creator himself. And the fact that जब हमारा जनाजा उठता है, चार लोग चाहिए उठाने के लिए. वो
So
चार लोग अगर आपने कमाया नहीं है, और वो इज्जत अगर आपने नहीं कमाया कि आपका जनाजा अकेला है और लोग ये पीछे कह रहे हैं कि अच्छा हुआ मर गए, ऐसे जालिम थे. I don't want to hear that. I'm sorry. So irrespective of how much of money I make, how much of assets I make, I don't carry anything with me. Even this
this
mortal
is
coil, I mean, I always say that I walk in my coffin. I walk in my coffin because even this body is not mine. The soul is immortal, the body is not. If that is the case,
yeah.
we need to be better human beings. Every single day we have to strive. It's tough. In a world that has so much of hate, so much of war, so much of anguish, so much of judgment, so much of discrimination, it is tough. But it is up to you to make that difference and say, नहीं, मैं हक के रास्ते पे हूँ, मैं सच के रास्ते पे हूँ, मैं ठीक हूँ. मैं अपने आप को आईने में जब हर दिन को देखती हूँ, क्या मैं खुश हूँ अपने आप से? अगर हूँ तो ठीक है. कोई और मुझे पसंद करे ना करे, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? समझ
Yeah.
जाएंगे तो फिर से.
So we need to really have a philosophical discussion. I
Oh
mean,
yes.
sometime in the future, yeah, because I think I'll really need to do that. All right. So
For sure.
listening to you, uh, you're also obviously you motivated me in such a short time,
Thank
and
you.
you're a motivational speaker also. So uh, I think I already got that philosophy that what makes you the way you are, but still what is it that you think really resonates with the people who listen to you? That really, because you're self-aware, so you would all obviously understand that about
Yes.
yourself, that what is good in you, that
Yeah.
that inspires people. What do you think that is?
I think if I want people to remember me, it would be as Kavitha, the human being. So I
Mm-hmm.
basically believe in enriching people first with knowledge that has been given to me from
Mm-hmm.
my guides, mentors, my mother, people that I have who have been very important for me as who I am today. I did not become like this just by myself. So I would say that I would like to enrich people. I think I
Mm-hmm.
empower people. I know I inspire people and I engage them very importantly. So agar kisi ko somebody has a bad day and I even get the inkling of it, I will take that time, 1 hour, 2 hour, I'll put everything aside and I will listen to them. I will listen to what they are going through because everybody needs that. So I listen to them. And when I do motivational speeches, it's always about inspiring them. Then I intrigue them. I intrigue them with a lot of, questions. So, because I know I am a question. So I am an intriguing aspect to them. How the hell did she do this? So that's an intrigue that I bring to their lives. And apart from that, I think I invigorate them a whole lot, and I mentor them subtly. I will not say, do
Mm-hmm.
this, do this, do this, do this, do that. I will say, this is a path that will lead you here. This is a path that I brought my children up like that. So I think that is something that is there. And I like to motivate and mesmerize people. So that's something that sort of gives me the thrill that I have walked out of this speech and people are like, wow, we need to do something like this. If I have done that, I think that day has passed by eventfully and purposefully and usefully. I would, if I'm touching somebody's life, I would want them to remember me. And I think, Alhamdulillah, I am very, very, very blessed that there are people after 30 years who still remember me even if I pick up the phone today and I call, and I've had such experiences just these past few days because I've joined also this organization. They've inducted me as a director on board for
Mm-hmm.
this happiness strategy roadshow. Right? So we call it the
Okay.
happiness strategy roadshow because our only job is to spread happiness, teach people the science of happiness, believe it or not. So I was reaching out to the corporates I was associated to uh, 14 years ago, 15 years ago, who I've never spoken to. I just picked up the phone because I have them on my Rolodex. And the minute I picked up the phone, was Kavitha, oh my God, how could we even forget you? Your voice and your name was more than enough. Now, that actually got me to thinking that I've done my job. If people can remember me after
Yeah.
15, 20 years, yeah, I think I've made some form of an impact on them. And I remember one of the things that did happen was my daughter went to the US. I sent her when
Mm-hmm.
she was 17. The hardest decision of my life was sending her away at 17. One, to keep her safe, and two, to ensure that she got educated and empowered like I am. So I sent her away because I was a single mother. It was very difficult in India. And she was born in the US, so it sort of gave her certain, plus points for education and all. So 2 years I funded her, and after that, the girl has worked full time, educated herself full time on her own, and she has been on the dean's list every single semester with a 4.0 average, and that makes me a prouder mother, mashallah. Or experience was I referred her to the first organization I worked for. So she went
Mm-hmm.
there. It was 25 years later. I had worked 25 years before. And she went there and she said the entire laboratory who had never met me knew me by name. And everybody came up to her and said, you're Kavitha's daughter, you're Kavitha's daughter, you're Kavitha's daughter. And she called me up to say that your ex-bosses said you are one of the best employees they've ever had, and you're a legend here. People who have never met you know you. The entire laboratory, 3 floors, they came to meet me and said, you're Kavitha's daughter. And she said, Mom, you did something great. So I think that's the impact I would like people to have, to be to
Wonderful.
remember me for having done something good. Yeah,
MashaAllah.
mashallah. For my daughter, for all of you who have done that for me. And I think, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. I've been very, very lucky, I think.
Okay, so I, obviously talking to you for last, I think only 40 minutes. Okay, it doesn't seem like 40 minutes. 40 minutes have already passed. But anyway, what I mean is कि इतनी देर में I could gather that, okay, resilience is your the one point, and the second is that you're always motivated. Third, you have this thought that you whatever you're doing is for the greater good. I mean, it's something beyond you that you're
Yes.
working for. So okay, ये तो मैं खुद ही बोले दे रहा हूँ, but I really wanted to ask you was what was your motivation, or what is the thing which keeps you motivated? So I did identify three. What else is there which keeps you motivated to continue doing whatever you're doing? Because
My
see,
faith.
irrespective of the fact that you are what you are, but it does need, sometimes you must be needing motivation too, or you
Yes.
don't. You do,
Yes, I
right?
do. I do.
Uh-huh.
I do need the motivation, and my motivation always is faith. So what I do is I sit silently. Now, one of the things
Mm-hmm.
again over here, I think is there are two things: loneliness and solitariness. Loneliness makes you yearn for someone, company, something.
Mm-hmm.
There is solitariness, which if you can fall in love with, you find the supreme there. I have found that. So I withdraw myself, I sit silently, I start
Mm-hmm.
reading, I listen to certain qawwalis. I'm a huge fan of music. So I would
Mm-hmm.
listen to qawwali, I would listen to ghazals, I would read poetry, and yeah, my business partner also is like a mentor or a guide to me. Sometimes when I'm extremely down, he is my powerhouse. So I would literally reach out to him and I say, "Bas baatein karte hain," or I will pick myself up and go do something good. If somebody is in pain, I'll try to find out who is going through a difficult process, and I'll motivate myself that this is what it is. But every day, I think I remind myself that God has put me in this particular earth to do something much, much larger, and my faith keeps me going, and I know that I am still not there. There's so much more to do. There's so much more to do. I don't think I've even touched the tip of the iceberg yet. I don't know if I'll have
Wow.
time to do that. I will. I do not know if I'll be able to do it, but I'm going to endeavor to do as much as possible.
Well, I think when you have so much faith, so let's just put it like this कि जितना करना है उतना ही करेंगे, उतना तो कर लेंगे आप.
Yes,
जितना
inshallah,
ऊपर वाले ने कहा
inshallah.
है कि आपको करना है उतना तो आप कर ही लेंगे. So you will reach where you have to reach, inshallah.
Hopefully, inshallah. Keeping
Yeah.
my fingers and toes crossed.
So that was hell lot of inspiring. Anyway, before we end this, I still want to know something from you.
Yeah.
That especially for single parents, you have been a single mother. You were brought up in a family which was, I mean, your mother was a single mother in a way, and single parent household, and you have been a single parent too. So
Yes.
what words would you want to share with those people who may be facing, odd circumstances, especially the people who are not really doing well? Because a lot of single parents, I mean, struggling is one thing, and struggling as a single parent is absolutely another level, because here you're not just thinking about yourself, but you have to think about your children, and it's just so very difficult.
Yes.
So what will you want to say to them?
I would say that treat your children not as children but individuals. I did that.
Mm-hmm.
So, is it difficult to go through a divorce? No, it's not. Is it difficult to be a single parent? Hell yeah. You're going to be a mother and a father. Even if you're not a single parent, being a parent itself is very, very difficult. But what
Mm-hmm.
happens is we end up thinking that children are as assets. We treat them like, they, because we have given birth to them, we put ourselves on a pedestal and we think that, oh, I know everything that is right, so I will tell you what to do. That's the God complex that we have defined. We have probably, I think, fixed upon ourselves. We have the God complex and we ruin our children that way. I seriously would think so. Very, very important is treat your children as individuals. You were only a vehicle that brought the souls into the world because the Creator wanted you to be the parents. It could have been somebody else, it could have been a dog, cat, anything else, but you became a parent. And when you became a parent, your responsibility is to bring up human beings as wonderful citizens of the society, which means you have to teach them right or wrong. You need to teach them to be accountable. You need to teach them to be responsible. Doesn't matter whether you are a single parent or not. It's hard. Sit them down, let them know that it is okay, and it happens that two people, mother and father, may not get along. So instead of disharmonizing an entire house, making it into a battlefield where you are scarring the children with a bad relationship and making them think that, oh my God, marriage is all about husband and wife fighting like dogs and insulting each other, we just decided to agree to disagree, parted, and remain in our own lives and carry on. That's okay. Chances are you might end up being friends. Chances are you may not end up being friends. You may not even see each other. You may not see eye to eye. That's okay. But it's important for the parents to know that they are two individuals and they may not get along, and it is all right. But having said that, am I going to propagate divorce? I wouldn't do that for anybody in this world, not even my enemy. But if it happens, we have to sit them down, make them feel that I am here for you if you have questions. Let them not go look for it elsewhere. Every doubt, every question, everything your child has, you become their friend. I was always my children's friend. They could come to me and talk about anything and everything on this earth, and I never shooed them away. We had logical, very reasonable discussions. We were speaking like individuals. They were not adults. So today, if my children are, they are 23 and 25, and everybody who sees them says, your mother has brought you up amazing, I think that's the certificate I got. So it's important to raise children as individuals. Don't mollycoddle them. Teach them to be accountable. I sat my son down at 13 and I said, now you're a teenager. If you make a mistake and you disrespect any girl, both myself and my daughter, we will take you to the police station, book you, file an FIR, non-bailable. And I will say I don't have a son. And I'll walk away. That was a very tough thing to do. But if I didn't do it today, he would be an amazing young man who respects women. So he knows very well that that's what was supposed to be done. With my daughter, it was never daughter-son. They both had to clean bathrooms, sweep, mop, do dishes, learn cooking. Today they're self-sufficient. So I taught them to be individuals and to make their own decisions. I let them make their decisions. It might have been a simple toy. Mama, I want this toy. So I would tell them, this is what it is. If you have this, this will happen. This might happen. Now you make the choice. They make the choice. They want to do, I want to do abacus. Okay, fine. No problem. Go ahead and do it. They would come back and say, now I don't want to. So see, why don't you want to do it? No problem. Stop. So it was always respecting them to make the choices. So I built them to make their choices and be responsible and accountable for their choices. It's tough, by the way, to be that kind of a parent. In today's world, I see everybody mollycoddling. एक ही बच्चा है, एक इंसान है. इंसान बनाए पहले. बच्चे को बच्चे ही बना के रखेंगे तो वो 40-30 के बाद भी बच्चा होता है और उसकी बीवी आएगी और उसको बच्चा बना के रखेगी. So
kind of
we are raising.
Sorry, Khalil Gibran's The Prophet, where he talks about children, So he says that they are from you, but they don't
not yours.
belong to you. I mean, I'm just forgetting the words, exact words.
They are individuals that were brought into this world because they were destined to be here. You happen to be a parent. So हमने कोई इतना बड़ा चमत्कार कुछ नहीं किया है. Let's not take all the credit that we gave birth. I'm a mother. I gave birth to the child because it was destined for me to be a mother. So it is my responsibility as a mother to make sure that my child is not a menace to the society.
Right.
And I think that conscious thought process, I think it had, again, my mother's upbringing. And yeah, I think somewhere the spiritual guide that I've always looked up to and carried has been there. I always go back to that. For me, it is always that. For me, it might not be for someone else. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Wow. So that was absolutely brilliant. Thank you,
Yeah.
Kavitha. That
Thank you so
was
much.
good, rather wonderful. And I think we really need to connect over your philosophical. We need to have that philosophical discussion sometime in the future
We
because
would,
there is
I
so much.
think, one of the things I think that I like speaking about is philosophy. Of course, I think the existence of mankind should be talked about so that way maybe we can,
Yeah,
so
always.
yeah.
So just like you mentioned, this has been my favorite topic since my childhood.
Ah,
And almost half of the things which I write about is this.
about
And
that.
it's very difficult to find people with whom you can have really good discussions.
I agree with you on that. I think that intellectual thing is very important. So I would
Yeah.
definitely love to do something special for your audience. Since you have done this, I thank you so much for having me on the show. So I'm going to leave them with 3 poems.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's completely slipped my mind. I should have said that. Yes,
that's
and I
okay.
was so much into
So I'm going to leave them
the.
with one past,
Yes, please,
one
please,
present, and one future. Okay.
sure.
So the first one would always be from my book Midnight Musings. It's a dedication
Hmm.
to my mom, and it is titled Mom.
Hmm.
Tender feelings laced with unconditional love, all that she can hold in her tender heart to show. Teaching you to always fight your challenges too, standing constantly strong behind to empower you. Burning the night oil numerous times, she waits for you as you study on those long exam nights. Readily there to help whenever you might need, never intruding but letting you strive to succeed. Mothers are indeed kind fairies in disguise, sometimes bringing an unassuming surprise, imparting knowledge with all things so wise, while protecting you from evil, prowling eyes. I bow down to all of you, guardian angels, today, and this is for every mother that's in that audience today and everybody who's not. I bow down to all of you, guardian angels, today for supporting your kids, guiding them all the way. Never doubting for a minute in the power of love. Never doubting for a minute in the power of love. You are blessed by the Supreme from up above. You are blessed by the Supreme from up above. And this is to all the mothers in the world
Wonderful,
who are
brilliant.
alive and who are not. The next one is a nazm from my upcoming book.
Hmm.
This is a different, I think, a different emotion altogether. न जाने कहाँ खो गए हैं एहसास मेरे, न जाने कहाँ खो गए हैं एहसास मेरे कि आज निकले हैं खोज में तेरी अल्फाज मेरे. तुझसे
Wow.
जुड़ गया है वजूद भी मेरा इस कदर कि अजनबी लगने लगे हैं ख्याल भी मेरे. पाया है कायनात को जब समाया है तुम्हें मैंने, पाया है कायनात को जब समाया है तुम्हें मैंने कि अब देखने वजू करते हैं चश्म तर मेरे. बेहिसाब हो गए हैं वक्त भी इस कदर आजकल, बेहिसाब हो गया है वक्त भी इस कदर आजकल कि तुम्हारे लिए कम लगते हैं लम्हे मेरे. समेट लो मुझे जरा बिखर सी गई हूं मैं ऐसे, समेट लो मुझे जरा बिखर सी गई हूं मैं ऐसे कि फिजाओं में महसूस होते हैं एहसास मेरे. मुब्तला इश्क में करती है सांसें विर्द तेरे, मुब्तला इश्क में करती है सांसें विर्द तेरे. ना पूछे कोई अब मुझसे दिखाने मेरे, तुम जो मुझ में हो तो धड़कता है दिल मेरा, तुम जो मुझ में हो तो धड़कता है दिल मेरा, वगरना जिंदगी का हिसाब कर गए थे फरिश्ते मेरे, वगरना जिंदगी का हिसाब कर गए थे फरिश्ते मेरे. This is
क्या
one
बात.
from my Shukriya. And one from my Fallout, which is going to be the next book that will be released.
Mhm.
And this is an interesting perspective. I have titled it as the photographer also did, Crucifixion. He has taken a
Uh-huh.
picture of a wooden piece stump of tree. The Sotheby's also has actually sent that this is one of the best forms of abstract photography they have seen. It's a stump.
Mhm.
The shadow in the natural light has fallen on the ground, and it has formed a cross. So it is titled The Crucifixion, and here is how it goes. Heeding not the warnings, they forged ahead in vain. Heeding not the warnings, they forged ahead in vain, seeking power and glory, causing endless pain. Ignoring the consequences, they played a dangerous game, ensnared in Satan's web, their hearts filled with disdain. Humanity, once wise, now lost in an apathetic trance. Humanity, once wise, now lost in an apathetic trance, valuing greed over life, a tragic circumstance. Straying from their roots, forsaking nature's dance, unaware that destiny holds a cruel, ironic stance. The universe cries out, pleading for their attention. The universe cries out, pleading for their attention, yet they turn away, blind to divine intervention. Obsessed with material gains, they face their own contention. Obsessed with material gains, they face their own contention, unaware they're weaving a tale of self-inflicted crucifixion. Unaware they're weaving a tale of self-inflicted crucifixion.
So that's a very different range of your poetry, and obviously English and Urdu,
Thank,
two very different languages.
thank you. Thank you so much.
So, it really takes, it's rare to find people like you
Thank you.
nowadays.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I think I think
So,
I think all the credit would go to my spiritual guide, my mentors, my mother, my God, who I believe in a lot, my children too, because I think they've also made me a better mother by existing in my
yeah,
universe and being such pillars of strength. Everybody who has been in the realm of my life deserves that respect, and I think yeah, I've been blessed. I've been very blessed.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Yes.
Great. Thank you so much, Kavitha, for taking out this time for us. And I hope I didn't keep you away from your work for too
Absolutely
long.
not. Absolutely not. I think one of the things that I would definitely leave behind for everybody who wants to be an entrepreneur today is believe in
Mhm.
yourself. There will be challenges, but one of the most important thing is if you have an idea is like a seed. So making it into a sapling or a tree is your responsibility. Every skyscraper started with a foundation beneath the ground, not even above the ground, beneath the ground. So, and it comes that idea or opportunity will come like a thread. You need to make it into a
Mhm.
rope and you need to climb that rope. Challenges will be there. And if you're a woman entrepreneur, I will say good luck to you because everybody who wants to fund you will ask you. I have been asked to sleep with for my investment. I've had that kind of things too. So never be cowed down or disappointed with people who don't want to fund you, who don't want to support you, because you need to believe in yourself. And I think you will make it. So I want more entrepreneurs so we can create more employment in this world, more entrepreneurs and more women who are powerful and men, of course. And I think believing in yourself is important. Thank you for having me here. Nurture Life, Farah, very, very much. I think she has been amazing. And thank you. This is the second time I think I'm coming on your on Nurture Life show. And I can't be thankful enough. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Kavitha.
Thank
Lovely
you. Thank you
talking to
so much,
you.
Amir. And you have been a lovely host. And we will stay connected. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sure, for sure.
Adab, everybody.
And
Thank you.
बाकी सबके लिए thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be meeting again next Sunday at 8 p.m. Until then, have a lovely week ahead. Goodbye and
Thank
good
you.
night. Bye,
Good night,
Kavitha.
everybody. Thank you so much. Lafis. Thank you.
Thank you.